behind the
starting
scenes.
starting the recording on the bonus Hannibal episode. Episode whatever, it could be 36, whatever, it could be 37, I don't know. Anyways, so
It will be bonus human content.
we're talking about the series Hannibal. D hasn't seen it, but
If you have time, though,
if you have
you should
time,
watch it
you
because it's on Netflix now. The whole thing's on
It's
Netflix.
so good.
right, it's pretty good.
It's excellent. Yeah.
It's a excellent movie.
I
But
I watched
wanna-
it as it came out, so I don't rember
yeah, it's been a while.
good amount of the things in the series.
It's been a while, yeah.
Hey, since we're recording, just one a little aside. There is an official name for the whole phenomenon of being so stupid. Of that phenomenon of being so stupid, you don't know you're stupid, but you're convinced that you're a genius. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Oh, we heard about
Dunning-Kruger.
that.
Right.
It was a
I think
big
that's more
play.
for, like skill gaps and stuff. Like being so, I guess, blissfully ignorant is the nicer way to put it. Is like you have more
That's a
confidence in
nice
yourself.
way. Yeah.
I mean, we all had a really
Who
big.
wouldn't want to be blissfully ignorant, really?
I mean, again, we had a really big, display of that in the past
2020.
administration.
2020 was
True.
I mean, not just
2016,
the
2020.
not just the administration. I think just in general, 2020 was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't like, even if you cut out the political parts, like if you just talk about just
Sure.
what had happened event-wise, Jesus.
And yeah, the world's shutting down.
Yeah, the world shutting down, while the shutdown happening, exploding, with just the insane riots, and there's even before that there was like fucking fires in the beginning of the year.
True. Yeah. Oh man, I totally forgot
right?
about the fires. Like,
World
there's
War-
been so
The world
much
was
shit
Blade
this
Runner for a
year.
second. You go out
You
there,
guys-
it's all orange and shit.
Yeah.
You guys
Oh,
remember
man, that
3
was
days in we were
cool.
thinking we
Wow.
were gonna go in World War III?
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
People were
that day
being
of orange.
so
was
many-
cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't every day be like that?
Even
We're
though
gonna
it
have
would
this
be very
world.
unhealthy.
Give us that. Give us the cool fucking Blade Runner tech. That's fine.
Jeez,
Let me
Hashtag
have
no
augmentations already.
Right.
that's so funny.
I know. I am tired of this meat and bone, flimsy little pieces of
Listen,
shit.
there's got to be some fucking perks to living in this dark timeline. Okay, it's getting ridiculous. Like, it's just getting worse and worse.
We are definitely in that dark timeline. But we were mentioning also that in Hannibal, CD, I would say he has, a bit of has a little bit of a dabble in the culinary arts, or, just
Definitely.
has a respect for it. And I think if you watch Hannibal, there's gonna be a lot of beautiful food, and I know it's Hannibal, but it looks great. Oh man, they
All
really
the food looks so delicious.
yeah. It
I'll be like, fuck
adds
it.
the
I'll be
awkwardness to it too.
Yeah.
It adds to it. And if you're not really into detective or like murder mysteries or something like that, I just hope that you have you can stomach the gruesome aspects to it, because it's definitely pretty
Oh, it
good.
gets real gory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All
Yeah.
those dudes being fucking stitched
Mhm.
together. You remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that one.
And he has to like peel himself off. Oh,
It also has
Yeah.
amazing imagery. Like that's not something that I was
yeah.
expecting. Like it has some of the
incredibly
more
well
Mhm.
shot, well formatted shots as
Yeah,
well.
and the
way
things that you dive into their minds, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
crazy part. That
it's very
sometimes you don't
surreal.
know
it's
what is
such a
real
surreal
and what isn't.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's bizarre. And then like even when you're not having like those surreal moments, like there's like other moments that happen that you're like, wait, is this actually happening? Like this is just bizarre. Like to kind of like
Yeah.
throw you off. But but then it later makes sense. Yeah, it's great. It's I'd say psychological murder thriller, I guess. kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would go,
it's
psychological thriller, even horror. Like, there's
Right.
aspects.
Yeah.
There is definitely
horror
some
for sure.
scary as fuck.
I mean, the whole premise, like the whole
Yeah.
Hannibal himself,
Mhm.
like, and all these other serial killers that he's like meeting and that they're encountering. It's like really like it really does. It's pretty like it definitely gets in the horror, and
Right.
I will say that like the whole cast is incredible. But man, Mads Mikkelsen, like he is by far, and I mean, I guess it's a little unfair just because it's a show instead of a movie, but like
right.
he is by far the best Hannibal. Like I love Anthony
Mhm.
Hopkins, and he, that's an amazing performance in Silence of the Lamb and like Red Dragon and even Hannibal. But like Mads Mikkelsen brings like this sort of understated confidence and subtlety to the role that is just like fucking mesmerizing to watch. Like it's just like Hannibal is so fucking accomplished and so composed, but such a monster at the same time. But then he has empathy for certain people you wouldn't expect him to, and like he's just this multi-layered character that is so fascinating but so horrifying to watch at the same time. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
His performance as Hannibal is amazing. And let me tell you, I hate Hannibal in that show. Like I hate his pompous, pretentious, little ass. Like I know you're supposed to fall in love with him, but he has like all those, he has all those qualities that I hate in people who think themselves too smart.
Yeah.
The fact that he's pompous and pretentious.
He's literally a supervillain. Like he is a legit, like evil genius supervillain. Like,
and the crazy
who
part
you would
too
be
is,
rooting against in any other story.
He's not. You spend so much time with him and the main character, but he barely lifts a finger. Like he's capable of doing all this, just insane things, but
his level of manipulation is just insane. He just thinks 1,000 moves ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
But it seems realistic. Like it's believable. It's not like, oh, he thought all that out. It's not like something like
remember
the
Death
Note
or
something.
I
was thinking that. Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Death
like
Note,
that's it's just like
another one.
It's so insane. Like that's the level of like deep. Yeah. But imagine. Okay, so. Death Note anime, very different experience where like they're going through the stuff that's happening and they're talking about it. Whereas in this one, they instead of talking through it, it's just this really stretched out like visual novel of like what the fuck is going on, And then when they finally get to the parts that like you start rewinding like aspects, which is part of the surreal experience about this, is that like visually they're explaining the complexity of what Hannibal has already done, planned, and you could almost say like, there's moments in series or shows where they kind of write themselves in the corner and they use time lapsing, and all of a sudden something that shows up. But this doesn't feel like that. Like it doesn't feel like they wrote this into a corner. No, it felt like this was meant to go this direction, and was like very like the show is very prepared to tell you like where he was playing a part in it to exact his plan, and it's really well done. Like such a fucking good show.
No, I mean, I think the peak of that, I think the epitome of that idea of seeing like him being able to see steps ahead, and then like basically us seeing one thing at the beginning and then it turns out to be something else completely, is like it's the ending of season 2, but it's also the beginning, right? Like because the very first scene, and I remember Sean and us talking about this stuff like years ago, and you guys are like, I guess that's cool, we haven't seen it, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's like the first scene of the second season is like it's Hannibal and Jack Crawford fighting, and it's a really cool fight, it's really great, but then you see it at the end and you see how all the other characters connect to it, and you see how they got to this point, and it's so much better. Like, it's so insanely... Because, like, as they're fighting, Will Graham is also coming towards the house. And as they're fighting, Abigail has been fucking manipulated into, like, basically trying to kill Alana by pushing her out of the window. And, like, all these different things. And Hannibal has orchestrated all of it.
Yeah.
He's orchestrated all of it.
Yeah.
And it's totally believable. It's not like something like this other show called The Following, which from years ago with Kevin Bacon, where the serial killer he's just somehow is like fucking planned all of this, and like, the lawyer is in on it too, and everybody's a serial killer secretly, and it's just such bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it's
it was
so
such
contrived.
an easy way to like say that he's intelligent or something.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
like,
it turns out this
every single time, just so that they can move
was
the
involved.
story. Yeah, it literally is that. It's literally that.
Yeah,
We're just
bring
every
up,
single person is involved with the main serial killer, and he's manipulated all of them.
I like to think, I don't know, I haven't seen that show, but I like to think the main character, is asked, how did you know to plan ahead? I read the script.
No, that's what following feels like.
That's
it's just like it's just all of a sudden, no reasons.
Yeah, totally.
You don't get this other sense too of what's this other show? I think, where the characters that don't witness a certain thing, that event happens, but somehow they know about it. Like they have also just as like whatever the audience sees, they are seeing too. Like I feel like there's this show called Sweet Home on Netflix. I feel like
I've
they
seen that.
all have like a weird sense of clairvoyance because they're not in the room when it happens, but they know later on it did happen, or some characters having some sort of memory flashback, but somehow somebody has the clairvoyance to know that that's what their history is about, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying Sweet Home's bad. I'm just saying like that's just like one thing that might not be the best part about the writing.
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet Home is pretty entertaining though.
It feels like an anime come to life. That's what that's the best thing I can say about that show.
Right.
In all its trappings, in all the good and bad that entails.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Where you have like the characters aren't really characters; they're really just anime tropes.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of archetypes, yeah. I think, but with Hannibal, like it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like this, like he just knows things just because he's supposed to be good, right? Like there's every time he does know something or does something or has something planned and something worked out, there was always an explanation that occurred, and then like the visual storytelling, like led up to that, these moments of lapses of memory that the main character has, them having these episodes of just trauma, coming back, were like those were like the telltale signs of like what was being led up to near the end of the series. And it just was such a good series.
Also, it was really nice to see Lawrence Fishburne again.
Oh yeah,
indeed, yeah.
Like him and Mads Mikkelsen really, bring a gravitas to the whole performance.
Have you ever watched
and Gillian
Red
Anderson
Dragon
too?
and like the other Hannibal ones?
I have.
Like the other
I've
movies?
only ever watched the Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. And
Okay, so Red Dragon takes place exactly. That one has Edward Norton in it, and he plays the main character that we see here in Hannibal. Yeah, and so the things that take place in Red Dragon is much further down the line. So it's like what we're seeing now is
few years.
Yeah, everything you're seeing in the first season, I think, is just the history that was between him and Hannibal in Red Dragon, and they kind of do a quick kind of explanation of that.
Although where you are in this series
should
Carlos,
be linking up.
Is basically like like that where you're about to start the Red Dragon storyline, and like that it won't if even if you had seen the movie before, it won't ruin it for you because they they have the events in very different ways, and it plays out for different characters in completely different ways than it does in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell that they're probably using a lot of references from the books and also the movies.
Yeah.
Especially in that scene when, they're both at the table and he's not to spoil it too much, but Hannibal is about to, open up somebody's head. I was like, that's a reference to that, to Hannibal in the movie, but I could see that there were some references.
Right.
It was an
reference,
interpretation to those things. Yeah.
And it didn't. In terms of timeline, we never catch up. Honestly, with Silence of the
Lambs.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, which is fine because to some degree, it's kind of one of those.
I mean,
things
yeah,
you don't touch
it was decades apart anyway. Like
right.
Those from Red Dragon until Silence of the Lamb, it's like a good 15 years or so apart anyway. So.
Yeah.
But that is, like I was telling Carlos earlier, they were planning to explore that untapped territory if this show hadn't been canceled. That's what they had planned, like bringing in Clarice and stuff, but obviously they couldn't do that because of rights issues, and obviously then the show was canceled, so they couldn't do anything. But yeah.
I mean, in my head canon, all that's gonna happen after season 3, since there's now gonna be a season 4, is that the Death Stranding happening, and they eventually meet Sam Porter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Clearly.
That's the way I want to believe
this
it.
This is what happens when the world will suddenly end because their involvement.
Would it really be so out of the question in that world?
Sure. But yeah.
That was another genius we didn't talk about, Hideo Kojima.
Oh, what? I don't even know if he's an asshole.
He was a genius, but
I mean, he
I've
freaking
never heard of him.
I haven't heard anything particular.
First of all, he didn't. He pretty much fired. What's his name?
Oh,
David
right.
Hayter.
David Hayter. Yeah,
he didn't like. Yeah, I don't know.
But to be fair, there was animosity on both sides there.
Yeah,
there was they both didn't really like each other.
Right. I think in the first place he didn't like him just because
he wanted him to be. He was trying to change actors every game anyway.
Right. And I think it's a Konami thing though.
You think it was a Konami thing?
No, it was a Konami thing. I'm just saying, they initially didn't want him to. They just needed to put in a cheaper voice actor, and he wanted
right.
an A-lister, right? But they wouldn't want
that.
Which
is what they got with Kiefer Sutherland in 5. But then they couldn't. They couldn't use him for much because he cost so much money, and that's why Snake doesn't say anything in the fucking game.
Yeah, he was so expensive.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, not saying that, not to justify it. I'm just saying that was in the end, it was just his Hideo and Konami, clash, and David Hayter had just to be stuck in the middle, even though that's a great voice actor.
I mean, I don't.
I guess he could just be bad at the interpersonal relationships, because he also ghosted the girl who made the girl who did the part of Quiet in MGS5.
He ghosted her?
Yeah, he ghosted her for Death Stranding. For Death Stranding, he already contacted her and said, "Hey, do you want to work on my next game?" And she was like, "Yeah, of course."
And then never heard from him.
Yep.
Ah, okay.
But how long apart were those events, where he contacted her and the game actually, or the production actually started? Was it years, or was it a few days and then he just doesn't actually?
It was definitely months, and I mean the way that this kind of stuff happens, it's over months stuff. But I guess it was just before the production of Death Stranding that it might have happened. I can't.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back to.
I'm asking just because that happens all the time, where directors or the creative people will be like, "I think you'd be really great for this," and then it gets into actually creating the thing, and they're like, "You know what? I don't know if this person was right," and that does happen sometimes. I don't know if that's what happened in this situation, but that is pretty common.
It's probably more complicated, potentially. Don't know though.
Stephanie Justin, that's her name. But yeah, no, there was definitely an interview where she was saying he just never called back. I never heard from him again.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, does that make him an asshole? Is that what we're trying to say?
I mean, yeah, he just never. I mean, when you're in a professional setting, especially like that, you can always, you always want to contact the person. It's just look, we're gonna go in a different direction.
You can, but at the same time, actors expect that. Because here's the thing: if you even look at if you look at the behind the scenes of something like Tenet, like when like John David Washington, the main character, and like Robert Pattinson, when they sat down with Christopher Nolan, where he was just like literally just like, okay, here's the movie. I don't know if you're right for it or not. And he talked to them, and they had a really good talk with each of them, and then they were like, well, okay, I assume that's it. Like, I assume like that was a good talk, but he didn't say like I got the part or anything, and I just assumed that he wasn't going to call me back. And then 6 months later, he's like, hey, do you want this part? Like, it's kind of just part of the process. Like, it's they have to sort of bet like who is right for this. Do they have the same sort of trajectory in terms of vision, and like it doesn't necessarily make it right or not, but it's just like I don't know if it's necessarily unprofessional like to do that. Like I don't know if like she was necessarily like I could understand how she might be disappointed, but at the same time it's like I don't know if she was necessarily expecting to be in the game.
I'm reading an article where it says that she was he already approached her to play the part of the part of Fragile in Death Stranding. So
and then like they didn't sign any contract or anything.
Yeah. They just didn't sign anything else, after that. And he went a different direction, which he has all the right to do so. But if you've already told someone, especially even in Hollywood, if you're not taken for the part, you're contacted to saying that hey.
No, you're not. That's not always true, dude. That's not true a lot of the time.
Yeah, most
a lot of times they just go a different direction and you hear about it after the project's already done.
Yeah, because like they have like hundreds and hundreds of other people that they go through, and like there's just not the time to make that courtesy call unless, again, that's why it's called courtesy calls. So like courtesy doesn't mean that like they have to call
like back. I mean I'm not disagreeing with you that like it wasn't necessarily a dick move on his part, but it's just like it is kind of just the way that works a lot of times. But again, I don't know the specifics in terms of like does it say in the article in terms of the time frame? Like was the production literally about to start and he's like, you have this part, and then like it started and she was just like, well, I thought I had the part. Like, what's going on? Like, or was it like they discussed it and then like something else happened?
Well, you can read the article yourself. But
I mean, I don't really care. Like, I'm just like wondering. Just
yeah,
it is.
What ended up happening is that they had like what ended up happening is that they had the conversation, right? And she was under the impression that she was gonna end up playing Fragile, and it wasn't until her managers like contacted Kojima Productions and asked about it. They were like, "Oh, we finalized casting."
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't until then that she that they were that she realized, oh, I guess I'm not in the game.
Right.
Yep.
So again, that's pretty much a dick move if you're gonna tell
I mean, it sounds like standard affair though.
It's a dick move, but it is like I was saying, it is commonplace. Like I can't imagine she didn't expect it. It doesn't mean she wasn't disappointed, but she's an actor and she's not exactly new at it either. Like I'm sure like it probably stung, but there's no way she was like not already going out for other things because she's a working actor. Like she's auditioning her ass off constantly for multiple projects. Put all your eggs in one basket would be like career suicide, unless you're a star who's like worth millions.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Unless like actually had a contract that they violated, I don't think there's like anything else that's more of a situation. Because the casting people is not easy. Like you have to go through so many different processes and through so many different people that like they can't contact every single person that doesn't get the role, or just say like
but
you don't got
for
it.
An actor that you've already worked with before that you have
like
personally contacted. I mean, what do you mean once? I mean, it's she worked with her. They worked together for years. To make MGS5. Like it's not just they saw each other once and that's it. Like it was a process of years to work for MGS5.
Sure,
like,
for the one project, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, it's her likeness was in the game. Like she was a big part of MGS5. Like it's not like she played a tiny little role. I'm just saying, it's definitely a dick move. Expect, she should, is it permissible? Sure, but it was still a dick move.
No, I agree. Yeah,
Sure.
I agree. It's just I agree.
I mean,
It's not right, but it's
I think it would have been more like, yeah, you were terrible. Bye. Like if he said something like that, then that's a dick move. Cause ghosting her isn't a dick move in my opinion. Like if he like straight up just went up to her, like you weren't good for the part. I went on for somebody else. Bye. Like just like it's like excuse me, like we had this working relationship, and then you're just like
yeah. But I mean, even that is like that's
asshole?
not going to happen. And even in Hollywood, most of the time,
Like
most of the time, it is just
going
this
out of their way to
situation
insult
where it's
them?
just like you just don't get the call. Like actors talk about it all the time, where it's just like I auditioned, I thought it was really good. Even the director was like, "Hey, yeah, like we'll call you back," and then you just don't get the call. Like it sucks. And like I've heard so many actors talk about it in depth how like it's traumatizing, and it's the audition process fucking blows. It's like the worst thing ever to do this again and again and get rejected, but that unfortunately is part of the game. Yeah.
Are you sure? I'm always under the impression that people just got contact. It's like, look, we're just gonna go in a different direction.
You're so positive. It doesn't work that way though. I wish it did. I wish to God it did, and like Hollywood was actually that nice, but it really does not work like that.
And the worst part about it is like you hear actors that like doesn't get a call back that they're not going to get the project. They think they're not getting the project. They get another gig that is like for sure, and then now it's clashing with the time.
Hey, you got it.
Hey, you got it. And and then now you're like, fuck, do I go with this one or go with this one? That happens so many times with actors like that.
It sucks because a lot of times you don't know which one is the right move.
Is the right move, yeah.
Like, yeah.
There's like some actors that will like, deny a role because they thought this other role was more of an opportunity, but then the exact thing opposite happened. Like that was the winning...
end up destroying their careers.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it fucking I think that similar thing happened with Sandra Bullock for Speed 2. Like I think Keanu Reeves was supposed to star because he started in the first one and they were both supposed to star in the second one, and like Keanu Reeves was like, I don't think I'm gonna do this. Like it doesn't feel right. I don't like the script. And then Sandra Bullock was like, I think she had a scheduling conflict like that, where she's like, I could pick this other movie, or I could pick Speed 2. I'm going to go with Speed 2. And for anybody who's ever heard or even seen Speed 2, it is a notoriously bad movie. Like with like awesome actors. You got Willem Dafoe as the villain. You got Jason Patric and Sandra Bullock. You got Tamara Morrison, all these people. And it's one of those really bad, fun movies. It sucks, but it's fun. But that movie fucking bombed hard. And they were like, oh, man, feel so... And, like, Sandra Bullock's career was in shambles for years. Like, obviously, she eventually, got it back together, luckily, and, like, got the credit she deserved. But, yeah, I mean, it that's just... I don't know. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you really can't predict the future with those things. And then it's like, either you get what you take a risk on something that's not going to be that great, or you think that's not going to be that great, or you just do with what's already been first come first serve for you. Like, this job already said yes. Fuck you. You didn't even talk to me for like 2 weeks or something, or 5 weeks, or a month, or 2 months. Why should I like listen to you? I don't know. Like, there's really no like proper way.
I mean, yeah, there is a proper way. Just call them and tell them, hey, we're going on a different direction.
No, 100%.
Doesn't take any more than that.
You're 100% right. You're like, if only Hollywood actually had morals, like that would be great. And I wish that was the case. But Hollywood is this fucking shitstorm. Like, yeah, it really is.
If imagine you're the person that's trying to do all the casting and stuff like that, and then you're in amongst all that shitstorm, and you're being like having people breathing down your necks just to get the cast going, and then once the cast is already selected, you have no chance of like finding the time just to even do it. Like, I'm just saying, those people that are doing casting, they're fucking working so long. Like, I'm not surprised that they don't just end up, you know what, I can't call this person. I can't call them back about this. It's like, we're already like in this. There's no way I can spend the extra time just to call the one person. Like, I'll get back
It's
to them
also
later.
not the casting director's job to do that. They have assistants who call in. Like it's like if you were to get a call back, which is going to be rare enough, it would be to say that you were rejected, which doesn't really happen anyway. But if you were to do that, it would be the assistant going, "Yeah, they decided to pass. Okay, bye." Like that's it. It's not going to be the casting director or the director. Whoever casted you,
I understand that a lot of actors probably don't get called back, but if you made it through the audition process and you were told that we were gonna get it, and then later on, they changed their mind to, tell you that, hey, we're just not gonna go, with you in this direction, I'm pretty sure you get a call back. Like, I'm sure a lot of people probably don't get a call back, but I'm sure getting a call back that you're not getting the job is more, it's more usual than not. You know what I mean? If you're interviewing for a job.
Is that what happened? She went through many auditions, and then she kept coming back in, and he said, "Yeah, you're right for this," and she did it again, and they said, "Yeah, you're really right for this," and yeah, we're gonna start production. Because if that was the case, why didn't they finalize a contract?
Yeah,
because that would be the logical next step. It wouldn't be just like, oh yeah, we did all these auditions, we wasted all this time with this one person, they really seem right for it, and then he says to her face, "You're totally right for this." It wouldn't just be like, okay, that's it. That
they
wouldn't
would
be the
sign
case.
something because dates would be applied and then money would be put down already prior to.
I mean, not the specifics, but the way she's, that was said is that they even had, art concept with her face in it.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, the art concept can be changed super easy. Maybe that was their intention. I'm sure that the production had every intention to originally put her into it, but then somewhere down the production line, whatever reason it was, they decided to go with another person because of who knows during the production. It could be an opinion.
The reason is because, the reason is that Hideo Kojima, right, has always had a, he's always wanted to have big names in his production. He's never had a very personal relationship with the
Yeah, he's always wanted
the actors.
Like what he calls
a movie
an actual
star,
actor.
Exactly.
He quote unquote actual actor, or you treat them as quote unquote actual actor.
Right, exactly.
Which I'm not saying that's true. I think that his opinion on that is really bad. Voice actors are also actors. There is no difference. But that's definitely something I think, if anything, that he doesn't understand maybe is just a translation issue, or just he thinks of it that way. He's ignorant.
There was no translation issue between what's her name, Justin Stefani, because she speaks Japanese.
No. You're not understanding me. His opinion on what a voice actor, and I'm not even talking about this whole casting thing anymore. His opinion on voice actors and actors, he thinks that voice actors aren't the same as actors.
They're not the same caliber.
Right. Which they should be, they are.
Which they are.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't,
unequivocally.
For his own ignorance, I guess, I don't know if he understands that he just does not see that as the same thing, which I believe it is the same thing. Voice actor and actor are the same thing. They're just doing different things.
That's where I disagree with you, in the sense that they're both actors, but there's just such a different, there's a really big difference between being a voice actor and a stage actor, in the sense that voice actors can be so much better at during recording sessions, because they know exactly the ins and outs of only using your voice to act, versus other actors where they rely more on their on their facial expressions.
Well, the thing is,
I don't think you're right on that. There's actors that will say that. They actually say that doing voice acting is maybe more freeing, but they still use every ability that they have to emote. They're physical, even though nobody's recording them, and they're using that as a way to further push their acting ability. So that's definitely not necessarily true. There's other voice actors certainly that will change the way their voice are for the characters, certainly, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not any better or worse than a actor in the stage.
It's all.
There's a lot of actors that got started in radio and like only doing voiceover, sure, but not everyone comes from the same background as Jim Cummings or the Paul
Well,
Winchells
yeah.
of the world. Some of
Well,
them
yeah,
actually do
exactly.
have theater experience. Some of them
Well,
do.
yes, everybody has different experience, and that's the thing is that it's all circumstantial. You can't just put like a blanket statement on any of it and be like, oh, voice actors are better, or real quote unquote real actors are better, or stage actors versus television or movies, whatever. Like it's all circumstantial. Every actor is different, and yeah, like it's it's
I mean, there's
in
different.
terms of the.
Yeah, you're not gonna
But,
put
yeah.
the same actor from from a stage play into a movie and expect to have get the same results.
Well, you're
Because
never
they're
going to
just
have the same result. You don't want the same results from a stage actor in a movie, though. They're
well,
totally
that's
different
exactly my
paths.
point. That's exactly my
But that
point. There's
doesn't mean
just
that actor can't adapt. It happens all the time. Movie actors go to Broadway and vice versa, and they go to television, they go to voice actors. It just depends on the actor. They can totally adapt. It happens all the time.
Yeah,
all these voice actors that you've seen, Troy Baker and Laura Bailey and Nolan North, they were quote unquote what Hideo Kojima would consider real actors before, either acting on stage or in movies or television before they were famous voice actors. Like it, and again, it happens vice versa all the time. It just depends on the actor.
And honestly, I think D has like the better kind of like opinion on this because I would say he, other than the culinary aspect, he has a lot of investment when it comes to voice acting. So if anybody has like a good background or perspective that can give us anything, D would be our person to talk about.
Sure, I've also done stage plays before, so there is it's just you can't just have a blatant statement like that and be like it just doesn't. Yeah, it's not that compartmentalized in terms of like stage actors and different actors.
Like D,
but in terms of the quiet thing and that whole thing, I think the biggest point of like conflict at this point is that none of us really know the specifics of that situation, so we can't really speak on it in a truly informed way. We don't know the time frames of things. We don't know exactly what Kojima was thinking. We don't know exactly the process that she went through and all that stuff. We just don't know. So it's all speculative from pretty much every point of view.
Right, that's true. But on to that, okay. How did we get here? Oh, right, sure. Konami. Oh, right, Kojima, right. Right. Wait, okay, so that's the only other person that we know that about that kind of background? That, with, like, being the genius a-hole?
I mean, we were talking about Hannibal. I don't remember how we got to Kojima.
But I think we went to Death Stranding, maybe.
Yeah.
And we just bounced it back.
Oh, yeah.
Or like we brought it back to the original subject on that one. But yeah. Oh, what the hell did I just? Oops. Okay. I mean, if that's for that one, I don't think that I can't think of any other person.
So this was just the side.
Right.
I guess
this was just the extra bonus, even though we spent like another hour talking about it.
Yeah, I know, right? This was just about the Hannibal part, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was supposed to be, but yeah, we just ended up doing like a side thing about the same topic.
Yeah, right, from before.
Yeah. We'll go more in depth eventually with Hannibal, but yeah, we basically just did an aside to the same topic that we were talking about.
Oh yeah, it's ironic. But what was it? Yeah, I think that's it. Well, it was like 40 minutes. Bam. Hannibal.
It didn't even feel like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that at all. All right, 3, 2. Does anybody have any closing comments? Boop, boop, boop.
Nope.
Boop, boop.
Nope.
No. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Bye.